Hello and welcome to this introductory video for Liquifeel 1.3, which is the new Liquifeel version that we've just launched. In this video we're going to focus on the added functionality and the UI changes that we've made, so we're going to assume that you know how to use the original version of the add-on. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to use a scene that was originally designed for Liquifeel's gallery, and we're going to re-add some of the elements and redo some of the shaders just so we can see how 1.3 is working. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to 3D assets and add a bottle to the scene. I'm going to scale it up just a little bit, and be careful with that because if you are scaling up objects beyond the threshold, a realistic threshold, so if a bottle or a glass has like 3 meters, Liquifeel won't work because it's designed to work with real world scales. So once I've done that, just like before, we can go to geometry and click on fill active object. Right out of the box you can see that the UI changed a little bit. We wanted to reorganize things just so we make it a little bit clearer. The liquid amount is controlled just like before, and I'm going to put it at like 80%. And you can notice here we have a new setting which is called meniscus type. This relates to the curved surface that forms between the liquid in a recipient and the wall of the recipient. It's that little curved surface that's formed because there is surface tension at the surface of the liquid, and you can choose which way the liquid curves, so it's concave meniscus or convex meniscus. You can search more about meniscus using, I don't know, ChatGPT. But the important thing is that you can control it and also its scale, so how big it is. On the shading side of things, we didn't really change a lot. It still works like before by selecting to which part of the object you want the shader to go and then clicking on shade active. By default we have water selected, but I want orange juice. We could play around with the new presets that we made, but I think it's better you just discover them on your own. So I'm going to click on orange juice, and just like before we have the relevant parameters under the thumbnail. I think it looks pretty good, but I don't want foam, and I want it to be a little bit darker, more reddish orange, and I want the pulp to be a lot more visible. If we want to see it a little bit better, we can hide the recipient. We could also hide the liquid inside to work on the shader for the recipient. So for that we're going to go to recipient, and by default we have Uber glass applied, which still works like before. We can change the color, the glass density to make it actually more colored. Maybe I'm going to leave it like this. We still have the ability to add patterns like bump maps to the shader, but before we didn't have roughness, so now we do, and the system pretty much is the same. You can select one preset from our library and you can use it in a combination with patterns to get some really interesting results, or alternatively you can just change the library to user defined and you can load a custom roughness image. For this I do not want that, but you could if you wanted to use custom roughness map. But I am going to add a pattern, and I think maybe this looks pretty nice, but I don't want it to be so like the effect to be so visible, so I will decrease the pattern height to 0.1, maybe even less, 0.02, just so it's barely visible. And I don't want it to be up to the top. I want it to be like up to here, so I'm going to decrease the upper limit until the pattern goes only to the point where I want it to go. And now, since we are done with this, we can unhide the liquid. And because the bottle is orange, it affects how the juice looks inside, so I'm going to make it white again. And now for what's probably the coolest new thing that we have in Liquifeel 1.3, condensation. But to showcase it, I'm going to just undo some of the things that we've done to the recipient and the liquid. I'm going to change it temporarily to water just so we can see a little bit better. And I'm going to also hide these water droplets and splash, and zoom in a little bit. And in the condensation tab, we can add, you guessed it, condensation. Immediately as I do that, you can see that droplets are formed on the bottle. But the coolest thing about this is it kind of a simulation of what condensation really means in reality. So we have two situations. When you have a whole hot drink inside the recipient, then the droplets form on the inside of the bottle or the recipient, in between the top of the liquid and the top of the recipient. On the contrary, if we have a very cold drink, the droplets form on the outside, like they are here. So here, if we would have, instead of like a very cold drink, a hot one, then the liquid droplets would form on the inside of the bottle. And as I said, this is kind of a simulation, so it respects the liquid level. And that means if I reduce the amount of liquid, the droplets update with it. Same goes for cold drinks. So that's something that I think it's really cool, and it's really easy to add something that looks like real condensation to your recipients. That being said, I'm going to also play around a little bit with density. So I want a little bit less droplets, and I want them to be a little bit bigger, something like this. And I'm going to put the liquid level back up and change this to orange juice again, and also enable the pattern on Uber glass, which thankfully remembers the parameters that I have set previously. And I'm going to unhide the liquid splash and render, just so we can see how it looks. Pretty cool, huh? If you like how the oranges look in this final render, you may want to know that they are not photo scanned or from some asset library, but instead they come from an upcoming procedural asset library that we've been working on for more than a year. And it would be really cool to know if you would like such a product where every single item is actually a generator and you can generate endless variations of the assets. You can let us know if you want in the comments or on the Discord channel. And until next time, stay productive and inspired. Cheers.